the dignitaries on and off the aisle, senior advocates, office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of SCAORA, my colleagues and fellow members of the party. Namaste and a very warm welcome to you all. Today we have come together to honor the remarkable journey and bid an affectionate farewell to our beloved Chief Justice of India, Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S. Chandrachud, as his Lordship concludes his tenure and steps down from the bench. I would request Mr. Kaustubh Shukla, Joint Register Secretary, to present a platter to Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S. Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India. I request Ms. Meena Pandey, Member Executive, to present a platter to Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate. I request Ms. Asta Sharma, Member Executive, to present a book to Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S. Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India. I request Dr. Meenakshi Kalra, Member Executive, to present a book to Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate. I feel privileged to welcome you all to this August event, and while all of us present here will miss his Lordship on the bench come Monday, this event is a bittersweet moment for all of us, as we bid adieu to his Lordship with a heavy heart and wish him our best for his future journey. His Lordship's career is a testament of his excellence, compassion and dedication, and his decisions have constantly showed his commitment to protecting the rights of the underprivileged, upholding the rule of law, and ensuring that justice is accessible to everyone. His judicial philosophy is reflected in his approach to complicated legal matters, which approach is a reflection of his empathy and attentiveness. On behalf of the entire Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association, I also take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate. His Lordship, over his long career, has built a reputation for his deep knowledge and his excellence across diversified subjects of law. I request Mr. Amit Sharma, Vice President SCAORA, to deliver his welcome address.
Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S. Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India, Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate, Hon'ble Justice K.V. Viswanathan, Judge Supreme Court of India, Mr. Vipin Naik, President, Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association, Mr. Nikhil Jain, Honorary Secretary, Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association, learned senior advocates, my fellow colleagues in the Executive Committee of SCAORA, esteemed members of the Bar, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends, Pranam. We are gathered here to honor and celebrate the champion of rights and the protector of democracy, the modernizer of the bench, and one of the greatest judicial minds mankind has known. We are gathered here today to bow down with gratitude to the conscience keeper of the judiciary and the towering figure of Indian jurisprudence, who, by his progressive interpretations of the Constitution, not only upheld the law, but also breathed new life into it, transforming our judiciary with a vision of equality, integrity, inclusivity, and justice for all. We are gathered here to express our sincere, heartfelt appreciation to the Honorable Dr. Justice Dhananjay Yashwant Chandrachud, our most revered, respected, and loved Chief Justice. Your journey as a jurist has been a testament to fearless dedication, courage, compassion, and unshakable commitment to justice. From championing individual freedoms to pioneering a digital transformation in our courts, you have reimagined each one of us what it means to serve the law in modern India. You challenged the status quo. You confronted the entrenched norms. You defended the rights of a common man. You exemplified judicial courage. You inspired the nation with your enlightened intellect, guided by an enduring dedication to humanity. Lordship, as a sentinel of fairness, your landmark judgments have consistently struck a delicate balance between the letter of the law and evolving dynamics of the society. Each ruling has resonated with profound intellectual rigor, yet it is your unwavering commitment to upholding the dignity of every individual that has truly defined your legacy. Lordship, with each decision, you have advanced the cause of gender equality, minority rights, and fundamental freedoms. You have consistently reminded us that the court's duty is to protect the most vulnerable, safeguarding them from discrimination and prejudice. Your rulings inspired hope in every Indian, reaffirming that the judiciary is not only the guardian of rights, but also a powerful catalyst for societal change. The walls of Supreme Court forever echo with your progressive insights on constitutional morality, reminding us all of the enduring impact of your vision. Your words have set a standard for justice that reaches beyond mere interpretation, speaking to the very soul of our Constitution. From I quote, privacy is the ultimate expression of the sanctity of the individual, unquote. 2. The right of women to be treated equally in the workplace is intrinsic to her dignity. 2. Dignity in life extends to dignity in death. 2. The judiciary must be alive to social realities. Lordship demonstrated time and again that equality is not a slogan, it is the essence of human rights and the heartbeat of a just society. And that our living constitution is ever responsive, ready to evolve with the changing time to truly serve justice by addressing and protecting the needs of the people. Lordship, your legacy extends far beyond your groundbreaking judgments. You have been an architect of digital justice with revolution and the very nature of how we practice law. Though your visionary digital initiatives, you open the doors of justice wider than ever before, making it accessible to all regardless of the background or resources. By championing the digital transformation and promoting virtual hearings, you made the wheels of justice turn faster and allowed us to serve people knocking on the court's door more effectively. For countless young and aspiring lawyers, your reforms have paved pathways that once seemed out of reach, ensuring that justice truly belongs to everyone. As you leave an indelible mark on our hearts and on the history of our nation, your legacy of empathy and courage will live on in every advocate you have inspired and will continue to inspire. Your commitment to judiciary that is accessible, progressive, inclusive and compassionate will remind future generations of the transformative power of a just and forward-thinking judiciary that dares to make a difference. You will be deeply missed in the Supreme Court premises, yet the walls of courtrooms across the nation will continue to echo with your landmark judgments that have reshaped our legal landscape. The wisdom of your insights will resonate for generations, guiding the path of jurisprudence and inspiring all who seek justice in days to come. Though Honorable Justice D.Y. Chandrachud's tenure at the Supreme Court may be drawing to close, his influence on our jurisprudence is far from over. I am confident that I speak on behalf of every advocate that his legacy of progressive judgments, his dedication to justice for every citizen and his pioneering strides towards modernizing our judiciary will continue to shape the course of law in this country. Yada charati sheshas devetaro jana sa yat pranamaram kurute lokas tarati. Action of a great man are followed by the world. The standards he sets are emulated by the world. On behalf of the entire legal fraternity, Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association thanks the voice of progressive jurisprudence for enriching the life of every Indian. Jai Hind.
We also welcome Hon'ble Justice P.S. Narasimha, the Supreme Court of India, for today's I call upon Mr. Viswanathan, President SCAORA, to say a few words.
Honorable Chief Justice Dr. Chandrachud, Chief Justice Designate Sanjiv Khanna sir, Justice Narasimha, Justice Viswanathan, who are always there and on every function of ours, Senior Advocates, Amit Sharma, Vice President, Nikhil Jain, Secretary, my entire EC, past EC present. Namaskar. Brothers and sisters, we have gathered here today to bid farewell to a person who's easily one of the most popular Chief Justices we've had in decades. He has led by example. He has, as far as the SCAORA is concerned, he has acceded to most of our requests all the time. Time was never a problem. Under your leadership, Supreme Court has seen so many landmark judgments that the impact is going to follow, and you have actually shaped the future of Indian jurisprudence and strengthened the foundations of democracy. Your judgments are marked by clarity, compassion, and foresight. But above all, Chief, you have been a gentleman judge, polite, courteous to the old and the young, and that is what will set you apart times to come. You had that rare quality of making the lawyer comfortable before arguing, and he could get the best out of everyone. SCAORA has been a beneficiary of your love and affection. You have given, as I said, time always. We are also deeply grateful to the additional space granted to SCAORA, for which the earlier committee had also worked, and we are grateful to that for extending the infrastructural support to SCAORA. We actually are grateful that this hall has been given to us for the first time. And Lordship has escalated us to a scale above. Otherwise, we know where we used to give. We feel slightly sorry for Justice Himaji and Bhupanna Sahab. They would have been delighted for this. But now let this be a benchmark, Lordship, from now on. And on behalf of all those who have the privilege to witness your absolutely remarkable career, we express our deepest gratitude for your invaluable service. And in cricketing terms, the Ranji Trophy has now shifted from Bombay to Delhi. And may I now welcome our new Chief Justice Designate, Sanjiv Khanna Sahab, who will surely take things forward to a different level. And he has shown signs. In the last 5 days, he has met us 3 times. So, Lordship, we will be troubling with you. And let me be honest, there are a lot of infra issues with the section registry. We will trouble you with that. So, thank you all, and we want to hear the man of the moment.
As you all know, Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna is now all set to assume the esteemed position of Chief Justice of India. We look forward to his tenure with optimism and are confident that his leadership will continue to uphold the majesty of the institution and enrich the judiciary's role in serving the cause of justice and the common good, and that he will take forward the rich legacy left behind by the previous Honorable Chief Justices. This movement is of both reverence and anticipation, as we reflect on the remarkable journey of our Chief Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S. Chandrachud and look forward to the leadership of Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna. May the contributions by both their lordships inspire the next generation of legal minds as they guide our judiciary to even greater heights. I now invite Hon'ble Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate, to say a few words.
Respected Dr. Justice P.S, Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India, and brothers Justice Narasimha, Justice Viswanathan, Mr. Vipin Nair, President SCAORA, Mr. Amit Sharma, Vice President SCAORA, Mr. Akhil Jain, Honorable Secretary SCAORA, all of you present over here. Namaskar and good evening. Let me begin by a quote from a philosopher. A word, it is said, defines the universe. Words symbolize the human effort to contain the infinity which dwells in human relationships into finite boundaries which distinguish the known from the unknown, familiar from unfamiliar, and certain from the uncertain. These are not words of a monk or a saint. These are words of Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud. Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud is someone who seamlessly juggles between monumental judgments, not tens but hundreds of speeches and lectures. And while doing all this work, he embodies a calm, composed demeanor, both in the court and his life. If I have to categorize the three abilities or something which attracts all of us, is obviously first is his scholarly and jurist knowledge of law, his interpretation of law, his understanding about traditional wisdom which he incorporates and brings it, envisages into the contemporary thought. His articulation, his openness to viewpoints are all characteristics of a great jurist. The second and the third features which I feel categorize him, reflect his vision, is his discipline, his self-control. It's amazing. Like, sometimes I wonder how can he resist food. The third aspect which we all witness is his mission. He took upon the task as the Chief Justice of India as a mission. And that is reflected in the work which he has done, right from small little things to ensuring better medical facilities to staff, to advocate chambers, cubicles, gym facility, and then taking benefit of the young talent, the Center for Research and Planning. That apart, integration of information technology into our judicial working, both on the judicial side as well as on the administrative side, the registry working, etc. These are things which will remain forever. These are now part and parcel of our system, part and parcel of all of us, how we look at the Indian Supreme Court. And these become benchmark for the other courts also to follow. As the Chief Justice prepares to demit office, there will be undoubtedly a vacuum, both in the institution and to someone who's lived and breathed his life with such dedication. Yet knowing his spirit, his next chapter promises to be equally enriching. We take comfort in knowing that this transition will allow him to explore his diverse interests from cricket to hiking to music, the pursuits which he has always made him such a well-rounded personality. These interests reveal the man behind the ropes, someone who understands the life's richness comes with its variety. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Hon'ble Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India, to address us.
My very distinguished brother and Chief Justice of India Designate, Justice Sanjiv Khanna, my dear friends and brothers, Justice Narasimha and Justice Viswanathan, Mr. Vipin Nair, the President of SCAORA, Mr. Amit Sharma, Vice President, Mr. Nikhil Jain, the Honorary Secretary, Senior Counsel, who have also sauntered into the SCAORA function today, and of course all the members of the SCAORA, the advocates on record, were so close to my heart, and members of the registry led by the able Secretary General. True enough, it is that on Monday, as someone said, the Ranji Trophy passes from Mumbai to Delhi. But I had a different take on this. In my childhood, now with IPL and T20, all the traditional tournaments are not so widely played. But in my childhood, the Ranji Trophy champions, which were usually Mumbai, would play against the rest of India in a tournament called the Irani Cup. So really speaking, both Brother Justice Sanjiv Khanna and I have been playing for the rest of India in the Irani Cup. My mother used to say when I was a young child, she had this ability, an uncanny ability to come up with some real pearls of wisdom. And I wondered where they suddenly descended from, both in English and in Marathi. And she had this little quotation which she would come up and say, and which says, when the heart is full, the tongue is tied, she would say. So really speaking today, I think my tongue is tied for a change for somebody who's as garrulous in the court. But when the heart is full, the tongue is tied. When the mind is full, as it is in the court, the tongue is never tied. Because the tongue follows the mind and it never stops talking. Of course, I was once told by a very distinguished judge of the Bombay High Court who came to the Supreme Court that, why judges talk, particularly in the post-lunch session, that is because generally you're feeling sleepy and you try and avert sleep by talking a lot. That rarely happened to me. But today I honestly don't know what to say in response to such a beautiful, beautiful speech which was made by Amit and by Vipin's very fond words, and likewise what Nikhil said. When I came to the Supreme Court in May 2016, I generally knew that advocates on record are people who file cases, and then you have the senior counsel who argue cases. We had a similar system in Mumbai of the solicitors and the counsel until the system of solicitors was abolished sometime around 1974. My late former wife was actually a member of the Advocates on Record Association, in the sense that anybody who qualified for the Bombay Incorporated Law Society Solicitors exam automatically could become an advocate on record enrolled here. The only two difficulties were that you had to, of course, buy a ticket to come and appear before the judge in chambers when you didn't have much work in the Supreme Court. And the second was that you had to give an address and you had to also find a clerk who would say that I'll file for you. But I do remember her coming here to appear before Justice Ramaswamy, Justice K. Ramaswamy, who was then the chamber judge at the time when she was applying for enrollment as an advocate on record. I really don't think she filed any matter, but she was still an advocate on record. So I have more than one reason why I have such a close association with this association. But soon after I was appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court, I quite realized that it's not just this formal division between senior counsel who don't file matters and the advocates on record who file matters. But really speaking, the whole institution of the advocates on record is so significant because it reflects two things. It reflects the diversity of India. It reflects professionals practicing before the Supreme Court who are truly in touch with clients, litigants all over the country. And in that sense, truly, professionals who are the pulse beat of what happens on the ground in our society. So many of you have appeared before me in the last 8.5 years, and I can almost I have a photographic memory, as my wife tells me. I can almost pick out the cases where you have appeared and you've conducted those cases with such a sense of commitment and drive. And I particularly enjoyed it when the seniors didn't appear. Because when the seniors appear in a case, you feel, with due respect, of course, to my two distinguished brothers, Justice Narasimha and Justice Viswanathan. The good part about a senior appearing in a case is that you have a slightly greater degree of objectivity. The senior will not argue, or hopefully not argue, things which should not be argued. But when you have a senior appearing in a case, the difference between an advocate on record appearing in a case and a senior appearing in a case is that the advocate on record always treats the case as their own baby. For the senior, after all, it's that one appearance for that evening, or one conference in the evening and one appearance the next morning in court. Not so with the advocate on record. You'd so often find that the advocate on record perhaps sometimes takes things a little too far because you're so committed to the case, even if a case doesn't have that good arguable point. And I always felt this, and I never felt throughout my career that the advocate on record was stretching their luck beyond the point or stretching the case beyond the point, because there's always this perception that there is a human face behind every case. And it is that commitment to the cause of the human face which really, in that sense, unites both the advocates on record and the judges. Very often I have been asked as to why I listen so long to a case. Now I can let out the secret, since I have only one more day and probably 45 cases, so you may not be able to use it too much to your advantage. 45 odd cases tomorrow. But one of the reasons why I listen so long to the advocates on record, and particularly in the juniors in the case, there are two reasons. One, I feel this is, after all, the court of last resort. Nothing really lies after the court says, all right, thank you, and dismiss. You, of course, get these bunches of review petitions and, curative petitions. Curative petitions are very often assessed, as I do, by who has given the certificate. Some give certificates at random, some give them with greater deliberation. But one of the reasons why I thought, you must always hear the young counsel, particularly the advocates on record, is because this is the last point of recourse for the litigant. There is nothing hereafter that they can do. The second thing, and the second reason, which is perhaps more personal but more fundamental to me, is that I was always unsure, even after 8.5 years on the bench, on whether I had really grasped everything in the case. And the more you delve within your own heart and thoughts and mind, you're also conscious of your own limitations, both in terms of the acquisition of knowledge and in terms of the ability of the human mind to understand everything that there is in a relationship, whether it's a relationship between spouses, a relationship between partners, a relationship between corporates, a relationship between two levels of government. So you're always asking yourself that perhaps have I missed something, and would I have not missed something if I had heard that case for a little longer? But the one signal aspect of our bar which I find is the tremendous sense of faith which our advocates have, particularly the AORs have, in the institution of the judges of this court. So very often you find that a case comes up with very high stakes. I had one case like that yesterday, and I then suggested a compromise to both the sets of, there were three factions actually, and I suggested a compromise, and they virtually accepted that you dictate the compromise, and this would be acceptable to us. Now that's putting a very huge burden on the mind of the court, because while you suggest a compromise, you want parties to say no, because when they say no, then you can sort of negotiate with them and say that, well, all right, we'll try and work out something which you feel is appropriate. When lawyers say yes, then you feel that, my God, this is a huge burden which they have placed on me. So yesterday when I dictated the order in a very important commercial dispute, I said, I'm not going to sign the order. Take this order, sit with the court master in the court master's room. If you want any corrections, come today. If you find that you need an extra day, come tomorrow and tell me what the correction should be. So they came back today and said, well, you wanted some corrections in some paragraphs, which we have now agreed to. So this shows really the intense faith which advocates on record have in the institution of the Supreme Court. So it's mutual, our relationship is mutual. We have that sense of faith in advocates on record because we believe you represent the voice of the litigants. And we presume that you're not just post offices for somebody else's brief. Likewise, you have that sense of faith in us because you know that we listen to you patiently, conscious of the fact that you represent the voice of that small little individual for whom you are representing the cause of justice. I'll just share with you that we delivered judgment yesterday in the Constitution bench, where the might of the insurance companies was pitted against individual claimants. And the issue before us was whether a holder of a license to drive a light motor vehicle can drive a transport vehicle with a laden weight less than 7,500 kilograms. After the insurance companies argued with the whole battery of lawyers, and then finally the Solicitor General also argued for them, then came the real response from the young members of our bar, former advocates on record, current advocates on record, an odd senior here or there. But the kind of impact which they made just in telling us about the social structure, they reminded us that look, if you allow this judgment to be reviewed, you will be setting at naught the livelihood of lakhs of Indians who depend on these licenses to drive transport vehicles of a certain order. So this function, perhaps if a huge senior, suppose there were 5,000 clients for the claimants, they could have, obviously if somebody had collected enough money, they could have put up a good senior on the other side. But this message which young advocates on record and young seniors gave to us of a whole social system underlying a legal issue was, I think, a very important circumstance in the ultimate verdict, because as we came down the steps, we realized that any effort to tinker with a judgment which had held stable force in the legal terrain for several years might cause serious hardship to common people. So in that sense, I think a very important responsibility is cast upon you as advocates on record to give vent to the voice of the nation when you argue before the courts. And it makes no difference whether you represent a small client or whether you represent the more resourced of clients or whether you represent, whatever cause that you are appearing for. Your voice is crucial in the work which judges discharge in the course of the proceedings before the court. And by you will always realize that you will find judges like me, and I dare say we are not a dying breed but a growing breed, who know advocates on record by face, by name. It's not that their face works, but it's a kind of work which you do which works with us. Well, I began just 2 weeks back in Goa when I spoke at the seminar which was organized by SCAORA, and I was so delighted to learn that at that morning, on Saturday morning in Goa, when you would expect everybody else to be enjoying on the beach, the house was full with advocates on record. And then I learned from both Vipin Nair as well as Justice Abhay Hope, who did the valedictory session, that the same audience was there in the evening on the next day, when you would expect that people would be probably enjoying the happy hour in Salute is Goa. So I could have really taken off. I had a prepared speech then, but I didn't speak from the prepared speech. Today I don't even have a prepared speech because I really didn't know what to say. Because I feel that in so many which ways my career, my life is an open book. I don't keep secrets to myself, which is one of the reasons why I'm criticized so soundly. Because when somebody opens up their life as an open page, not everybody agrees with your shaili, as they say in Hindi, right? Everybody doesn't agree with the way you fashion your own life, but so be it. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter. I don't look at how people, I don't either receive praise or criticism with a sense of being personal. I feel that it's my duty as a judge to put everything about my life on an open canvas, because people must know what underlies the decision-making process. That's how my life is fashioned. But significantly, what I want to share with you this evening is that over the last 8.5 years, each of you has been truly responsible for my own evolution as a judge. Your insights of your cases, your arguments, small, not so small, large, have shaped the outcomes of cases. I can see faces in the hall today who have changed us in a rejoinder when you felt that, well, the respondents were absolutely dead right. And then a young advocate on record got up in rejoinder, and you just felt I was so completely wrong. The balance of justice lies with this side. That can also be called, as we used to call as members of the bar, of Bengal ki thali, that is who change between the petitioner and the respondent and the petitioner again. I don't really know whether I was a Bengal ki thali, in that sense, but I certainly know that in my court that the person who shouted the most didn't necessarily get the best order, nor the person who spoke the last. Because people who shout the most sometimes, prey on the mental calm of the judge. And there's a wrong perception that orders are obtained by those who are aggressive, who shout, who try and bully the judge. It doesn't work like that. Because there is a great element of discretion which a judge has, not in converting the right into wrong or the wrong into right. Because when there is a wrong, you have to say it's wrong. When it's right, you have to say right. But the real issue arises in those gray areas when everybody is searching for the truth and everybody is searching for where the truth really lies. Because so often the most difficult cases are not cases between a conflict of right and wrong or polar opposites. But the most difficult cases are cases where there's a conflict of right and right or wrong and wrong. And when there's a conflict between right and right and wrong, that's when the craftsmanship of the judge comes up, and that's when the human element comes up. So far from advocates on record who are more, I wouldn't say docile, because the art of advocacy is not in being fair, but in being persistent, but persistent with a degree of civility. I always find when recommendations of the collegium come up before us that judges in the High Court, if we especially interact with them, say that some person is very fair when they appear for the government. Reading between the lines, when the judges say that somebody is very fair appearing for the government, means that the judges are very happy that they are conceding every point. That is not the hallmark of a good advocate. The hallmark of a good advocate is to tell the judge that this is where the balance of justice lies, this is the correct position in law, and not in that sense being subservient to the judge. But you need not be subservient to the judge while at the same time being civil with the judge. And civility is unfortunately a dying art. But for those of you who still pride yourselves for being civil in court, let me assure you that you are walking the right path. Too often you find that the temptations to cut corners in a court are so many, because you always wonder that maybe I'll lose a brief if I don't yield to temptation, if I'm fair to the court. But at some point of time, the law, destiny, whatever you call it, tends to catch up if you're easy with the truth. And so many of you who have appeared before me, I'm very happy to note, have not been easy with the truth. And because you've not been easy with the truth, that reputation grows over a period of time. So I would really not take much time, but end by first and foremost thanking you for the tremendous support which you gave me through the years, which is evidenced by this large number of people, so many of you who have come here and are standing in the ranks here just to hear me speak. So thank you first and foremost for giving me all your support. Second, I must thank you for your patience, because I can't pride myself on knowing every branch of law. When I came to the Supreme Court, I had no real experience in deciding criminal cases, because in Mumbai we were also specialized. And so also in Allahabad I was the Chief Justice, so I could pick up what I wanted to do. As the Chief Justice always has that prerogative. So when I came here, that I for the first time learned how to do a criminal appeal. I sat with Justice Lalit and I sat with him for a good number of months, and I told him that I'm just going to observe you, analyze evidence in a criminal appeal, understand how the nitty-gritty of a case has to be unraveled in a criminal court. And I learned such a great amount from his own perseverance and perspicacity about criminal work. So I must thank you for your patience in bearing with me at a time when I was still trying to learn the ropes. Because the great difference between High Court advocacy and the Supreme Court is that in the High Courts, we take up an assignment and you work on that assignment. So when you work on that assignment for say 6 months, you've worked on tax, you're doing only tax. You're doing bails, you're doing only bails. In the Supreme Court, you are switching from consumer protection to service to bails to maybe a PIL. There is no one line of work that you are doing. And therefore, that requires a great deal of versatility on the part of the judge. Our colleagues from the bar have that versatility, which we don't necessarily have coming from the High Courts, but we pick up the rhythm of the work as we come to the Supreme Court. So second, I want to thank you for having shown great patience with me during the time that I was evolving with the Supreme Court. Third, whether or not you got a favorable order, nobody questioned my motive, which was, I think, a sense of great faith that I had in all of you. And finally, I want to say that I hope that a lot of you will go from strength to strength. Many of you would become judges of the High Court. I think it's very important that the advocates on record from the Supreme Court who come from different parts of the country must fan out to different parts of the country and accept the offer of judgeship or pursue that alternative as a career option in due course. Because there's something about Supreme Court advocacy which marks you out from High Court advocacy. The High Court bars are a little, they're a little careful about accepting lawyers from the Supreme Court as judges of the High Court. There's one thing that the Supreme Court bar has, and that is the ability to look at law from a national perspective. When I was a lawyer at the High Court, I always looked at law from the perspective of my own state. I learned to look at law from a national perspective when I became a judge here. And I realized that the same applies to members of the Supreme Court. Because by virtue of the fact that you pick up that odd brief from Karnataka, from Kerala, from West Bengal, from Tamil Nadu, from Maharashtra, you realize the interrelationship of the law as it cuts across different regions, different states, different cultures. And that makes for a more well-rounded judge. So I conclude by wishing you all the best. Thank you for this beautiful evening that you have given us.
Thank you, sir. I now request our President and Vice President, President has told to Honorable Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. Thank you, sir. I request the entire Executive Committee to present a memento to Hon'ble Dr. Justice P.S, Chief Justice. I now invite Mr. Vishal Prasad, our Joint Treasurer, to deliver his vote of thanks. I confirm that we'll have a group photograph first. Lordship, Justice Narasimha and Justice Vishal, please come for a group photograph. Group photograph. I now invite Mr. Vishal Prasad, our Joint Treasurer, to deliver his vote of thanks.
Hon'ble Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India, Hon'ble Mr. Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate, Hon'ble Mr. Justice P.S. Narasimha, Judge Supreme Court, Hon'ble Mr. Justice K.V. Viswanathan, Judge Supreme Court, Mr. Atul M. Kurke, Secretary General, senior advocates present here, advocate on records, advocates, law students, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am honored to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of SCAORA here. First and foremost, I extend my deepest appreciation to our esteemed Chief Justice, Dr. Chandrachud, for having kindly agreed to grace the occasion with his presence. Sir, your words of wisdom and insight have truly inspired us, and we are honored to have had the opportunity to learn from your Lordship's vast experience. Your Lordship's dedication, hard work, and commitment to administration of justice and rule of law is truly admirable. Your contribution have left an indelible mark on all of us. Retirement marks a major transition to the next chapter of life. It's a moment filled with excitement, nostalgia, and a touch of apprehension. After all, it's not just about saying goodbye. It's about celebrating a remarkable career filled with achievements, memories, and contributions. On behalf of SCAORA, I thank and wish my Lord Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, the Chief Justice of India, all the very best for his future endeavours with good health and happiness all around. We hope that my Lords can finally spend more time with family. I also thank Hon'ble Mr. Justice Sanjiv Khanna, Chief Justice of India Designate, for accepting our invitation to kindly grace the occasion. As we all know, Justice Khanna is one of the finest judges who does not believe in the rhetoric and sticks to the moot point. I'm sure that many new things and ideas are there in the vision of Justice Khanna, which my Lords would implement for the betterment of the bar and bench. I wish my Lord Justice Khanna a very fruitful upcoming tenure as the Chief Justice of India. I also thank Justice P.S. Narasimha and Justice K.V. Viswanathan for gracing the occasion. I thank Mr. Atul M. Kurke, the Secretary General of Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court registrars and the staff for their presence. I am very happy to see a large number of attendees here. I thank the senior advocates, my colleagues advocate on records, the advocates, law students, media persons, and all the attendees for taking out time to be here with us today. Your participation and engagement have made this event a truly memorable one. I also thank members of my executive committee, without whom this function would not have been possible. Once again, thank you all for being part of this farewell function organized by SCAORA. Have a great evening. I request all of you to kindly join for high tea. Thank you.